Well, dire jobs figures have been released today from the Institute of Public Affairs showing the impact the Victorian lockdown will have on employment. From March to November of this year, the figures show that a total of 696,000 jobs, that's nearly 700,000 across Victoria, will be lost, equivalent to 21% of the workforce. Joining me now is Cian Hussey of the Institute of Public Affairs, who did the modelling for these shocking figures. Cian, take us through exactly what they mean and how you guys landed at such a big figure.
Thanks for having me on, Peter. So what we've done is looked at the Australian Bureau of Statistics weekly payroll jobs figures that they've been putting out for some time now. And we looked at the effect that the first week of the stage 4 lockdowns had. And during that week, about 4,000 Victorians lost their job each day. So what we've done to calculate this total figure is we got the total number of jobs that were lost between the 14th of March and up to the 13th of September, which is 430,000 jobs, and then estimating the effect of the extended stage 4 lockdown and the roadmap out of stage 4, and the total jobs lost in that period, which is the 14th of September to the end of November, 230,000 Victorians who are going to lose their job. So while Dan Andrews likes to think this roadmap is a road to recovery, for Victorian workers, it's a highway to hell.
Yeah, I know. It's been an extraordinary set of circumstances that have emerged there in recent weeks. Now, you also broke down, Cian, the public sector versus private sector anomaly that exists here. And of course, we now know that there are thousands, tens of thousands of public sector employees in Victoria who are about to get a pay rise. Take us through the dichotomy between the public sector and job security and increases in their pays and the private sector where people are dropping off like flies.
Yeah, so we're calling this Australia's K-shaped recession. Commentators have been looking for a letter that can describe the experience in Australia. The most common that people might have heard of is the V-shaped recession or V-shaped recovery, where things go straight down and straight back up again. What we're actually seeing here is the emergence of two Australias. We've got the protected workers in the public sector. They're on the upwards arm of the K. Things are getting better for them. In fact, in Australia, since the 14th of March, there's been 22,000 new public sector workers hired. And for the private sector, they're on the downwards arm of the K. And since the 14th of March, across Australia, there's been around 600,000 private sector workers lose their job. So what we're seeing here is the emergence of two Australias. Things couldn't be more different between the public sector and the private sector. And there's a serious moral hazard here because it's those in the public sector who are making the decisions about when the lockdown measures can be eased, under what circumstances they can be eased. So then we have this class of protected elites in the public sector who don't bear the consequences of their decisions, which are smashing those in the private sector, particularly the self-employed, small business owners and young Australians.
It's interesting you say that, Cian, because I just had Matt Canavan on and I spoke about a bloke who made plenty of sense today, and he talked about the pain index. If you're a public sector employee and you've still got a job and you're getting pay rises, or you're on JobKeeper and you're getting the $750 a week, you're okay. You're okay. But if you are losing your job and, of course, you know, you've had to take cuts in your salary, you're actually one of those ones that are feeling the pain. And, of course, he was sort of giving me that index on the basis of the upcoming October 31 state election here in Queensland and why he thought Labor would win. Before we go, very quickly, I see today very much so that the Business Council and other businesses have come out very strongly, Wesfarmers, Bunnings, and had a red-hot go at the Andrews government for a lack of consultation. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's pretty disappointing. What we've seen throughout this coronavirus crisis is that Dan Andrews doesn't seem to be considering mainstream Victorians. He's not thinking about those in who own their own businesses, who are self-employed, small business owners who have just been absolutely smashed by this lockdown. Meanwhile, he thinks that it's okay for the Victorian Public Service to receive a 3% pay rise, like you mentioned. Some polling we did, the IPA, found that 75% of Victorians think that that was the wrong thing to do. And another poll that we did found that 50% of Victorians themselves or know someone who's either lost their job, received a cut in their pay or a cut in their hours. So again, this just shows the complete disconnect between those in the protected class of public sector elites led by the likes of Dan Andrews and mainstream Victorians in the private sector who are just suffering.
Cian Hussey from the IPA, thanks for joining us tonight. Much appreciated.
Thanks for having me on.